I know you know how to read, but you're not actually doing it. And neither was I. If you're anything like me, you have a tendency to romanticize reading. I like to picture a rainy day, hot beverage in my hand, book spread open, wide, and how aesthetically pleasing that would be. But when the time came around to it and I had some free time, I would never actually read. And I think there are a few reasons for that. The first is in my, romantasy that I was living, I would go to like Barnes and Noble, browse around, find some cool books that maybe I'd heard people talk about, say they were good books, or some books that I felt like I wanted to look like I was reading, or just some books that had like cool cover art or whatever it was, and I would buy them. But I wasn't actually really all that interested in buying or reading the book itself. One example is this one. This is Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Now, obviously, the cover is really cool, and I've heard lots of good things about this book. However, it's quite dense and it's not an easy read. So for somebody who hadn't really read since middle school, it was not a good book to try to pop back into the reading grind with. The other problem is that I would come home, have free time, and I would maybe have the thought like, oh, I could read a book right now. It was either that or fry my dopamine receptors by doom scrolling for a couple hours. And frying my dopamine receptors is just so much easier than reading. I don't have to put any effort into it at all. And so that's what I would do. What got me out of this cycle of not reading and doing pointless other things instead was finding a book that I actually enjoyed. And that seems so obvious, but I think, at least in my case, I was buying a lot of books that I felt like it would be cool if I could say that I read this book, but it wasn't something that I was really all that interested in. Crime and Punishment was one. This oh shoot, this is a book about Buddhism. I tried and it's just not interesting at all. However, I've been hearing a lot of buzz about Brandon Sanderson, and the books he writes, and I do like fantasy novels or fantasy. I like the fantasy genre, right? I knew my dad liked Brandon Sanderson and had some of his books, so I borrowed this from him, Mistborn. And this, I feel like, really just revived my dead, sad reading life because I actually enjoyed it. It was not hard to read and it was really interesting. And Brandon Sanderson created a really cool world with like cool like magic and how it works. And anyways, it was really intriguing to me. And reading was not a chore anymore. It was something that I actually like look forward to doing. So that would be step number one is think of a genre that you like and find a book that's about that. There's so many resources online. People can give you recommendations. You can read reviews and I don't know. Everyone has their own opinions about things, but you should be able to get a pretty good idea of if like you're going to like a book. Step number two would be to make it a part of your daily routine. And that also seems pretty obvious, but that's what I'm here for, stating the obvious. This is literally a video called How to Read. Right now, your daily routine is either, you go to school or you go to work or whatever. You go and do whatever you need to do for the day. You come back home, you have some free time, and you probably do something like I did where you just kind of get on your phone and doom scroll. And that's just part of your daily routine. And it almost gets to the point where you don't have to think about it. It just is like, oh, like it's 6:00, time for me to scroll Instagram Reels for an hour. So if you replace that, or you don't even have to technically replace it. You just have to find a time during the day where you have time to read. And then you just kind of make it a habit. You make it part of your daily routine. What really worked for me was doing it right before I went to bed. So I would do my nightly routine, get into bed, and then I would read. And what I really liked about that as well was I was not on my phone right before going to sleep, which, everyone tells you, and it's very obvious, but it's just not good for you. And not only would reading help me get sleepy, but I felt like I was getting better sleep because I was reading right before I went to bed. So that was kind of nice. And then, yeah, it just kind of became part of my routine. And it's like I go to bed, I read a book. And part of that, when you make that your routine, it like tells your body like, oh, it's time to go to sleep soon. So yeah, those are just those are two tips, tricks, and obviously I have some more reading to do because I can't talk. But I think reading is so important, and I know I need to do more. Like I was doing none, and now I'm doing some, and I need to do more. But I just think it's really important. I feel like our generation is just kind of getting dumb, and it's not their fault. We're just like bombarded with technology and all these things that are just easier to do, and but they're not enlightening. They're not fulfilling us. We're not learning really anything, or the things we're learning are like kind of pointless, to be honest. So I think it's important to be well read, to be a learned person, and reading is a really, really good way to do that. And I think if you don't read and you want to get into it, just start by reading something you want to read. It doesn't have to be Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. It doesn't have to be some self-help, or it doesn't have to be some like, you know, some classic novel that is good but is just hard to get into. Like, find some fantasy novel, find some dystopian novel, find some action, find something that you are going to be interested in, and it's really going to make reading a whole lot easier. And then as you read more and more, you'll kind of practice that. You'll get better at it. It is a skill, and then you'll be able to dive into those maybe more dense novels. Like right now, I'm reading Dune, and this is like an 800-page book, which like would be daunting. But since I've been kind of getting back into my reading grind, I figured I could tackle this, especially because I love the movies so much by Denis, and I'm really excited for Dune 3 to come out, and I felt like reading the Dune books would be good. And so I'm already interested in that story. It's something that I like. I know there's a million people out there that would hate to read this, but I'm actually enjoying it, and that's what matters. That's what I'm trying to say. That was a yap sesh. Hope this helps. Subscribe. I'll see you guys later.